announcing a bargathon right now. Why wait? Tune in Home Shopping Club now and get in on the sale of a lifetime.
This is CNN.
Northern Ireland's bloody cycle of revenge. Another attack in the deadly feud between Protestant and Catholic extremists.
Opening the door on the dark secrets of the East German past, people discover who was informing on them for the dreaded secret police.
And the remnants of a crumbling empire. The estate of publishing magnate Robert Maxwell up for grabs. Welcome to our viewers in the United States and around the world. I'm Frank Sesno.
Hello, I'm Donna Kelley. A Northern Ireland police chief calls it murder madness, a Belfast betting shop riddled with machine gun fire by two Protestant extremists. At least 5 people were killed in today's attack, at least 8 others wounded. One man hit by a bullet says the scene looked like a butcher shop. It is the latest episode in a growing campaign of vengeance and violence. CNN's Rob Reynolds has more.
Another day of blood and terror in Belfast. Police say a number of gunmen burst into the bookmaker's shop in a Catholic neighborhood at about 2:30 in the afternoon. Eyewitnesses said most of the victims were elderly customers who were cut down at point-blank range.
2 men walked out of the University Street and walked straight into the bookmaker's shop and shot all around them indiscriminately. Well, there was a lot of customers in the shop. Most of them did for cover, but the men still opened fire.
As the wounded were taken to nearby hospitals, a parish priest described the scene moments after the shooting stopped.
Too much horror, blood, death. Too much for any one day.
A Protestant terrorist organization calling itself the Ulster Freedom Fighters claimed responsibility. Vengeance for an Irish Republican Army bombing that killed 8 Protestants last month. The latest violence comes only 24 hours after an apparently deranged police officer killed 3 men at the Belfast offices of Sinn Féin, the legal political arm of the IRA. He later committed suicide. Since the beginning of 1992, 24 persons have been killed in sectarian violence in Northern Ireland. Rob Reynolds, CNN, London.
For the first time since Tsar Nicholas II made the trip in 1896, a Russian head of state is in Paris. A Russian, not a Soviet. President Boris Yeltsin touched down today, greeted by France's President François Mitterrand, amid the full fanfare of a state-to-state visit. Mr. Yeltsin is on a 3-day visit aimed at drumming up more help from the West, specifically food and other economic aid. He also wants France to slow down development of its nuclear weapons arsenal and join Russia and the United States' disarmament drive. So far, France is refusing, say its nuclear deterrent is independent and is too small. The city of Moscow is so strapped for cash that all those demonstrations that helped bring down the Soviet Union will now require cash up front. Demonstrators who want to march on Moscow will have to pay for the police protection and traffic disruption that it causes. Before the fee goes into effect, however, the city will allow demonstrations this weekend by one group favoring reform and another opposing it.
In Britain, a prominent and respected politician has admitted he had an extramarital affair. The leader of the third-party Liberal Democrats, Paddy Ashdown, told reporters about the affair he had with his secretary 5 years ago. He made the announcement because a document about the affair had been stolen from his office safe and offered for sale to a tabloid newspaper.
It is my view that this brief relationship of 5 years ago is and always should have remained a private and personal matter of concern only to those involved. This has been, as you might guess, an extremely painful experience, but it is one which all involved, and especially my wife Jane and my family and I, have faced together.
Several break-ins at the offices of opposition politicians have raised allegations of campaign dirty tricks. Elections are expected this spring. Rival Labor and Conservative leaders supported Ashdown, and his position does not seem in jeopardy. Still ahead for you, a harrowing escape from Haiti. A Life magazine reporter gets a first-hand look at the ordeal of Haitian refugees trying to flee their country.
Tomorrow night, one of Hollywood's living legends, Academy Award winner Barbra Streisand, in her first live television interview with your phone calls. Tomorrow night on Larry King Live, 9 Eastern, on CNN.
The new baby was up all night. Now you gotta make the morning right. Folgers always come through. It's decaffeinated too. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
Mountain-grown Folgers decaffeinated. It gives you something the other leading brand doesn't. Richer aroma to wake you up.
Now you're off to a great start, 'cause Folgers warmed your heart. What a wonderful way to let the sun shine on your day. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
For one-stop home shopping, look to Carpets of Dalton under the big sign. When you're looking for low prices, best selection, and great service. And you don't have to look any further than I did. To find Carpets of Dalton expanding their furniture department and showroom with Berkline, Rose, Stanley, Sumter, Cochran, and more. Plus a wide variety of accessories to complement your selection. After 20 years in the business, Carpets of Dalton is still growing to meet your home furnishing needs. Carpets of Dalton, under the big sign, exit 135 in Dalton, Georgia.
There's constipation and there's constipation. Oh, yeah. When it's this bad, take it to the max. New Maximum Relief Formula X-Lax pills with 50% more X-Lax medicine for maximum relief. Oh, yeah. Take it to the max.
Now on videocassette. This Valentine's Day, give the one you love a kiss they'll never forget.
A kiss was still a kiss.
Kisses with Lauren Bacall. Available at Saturday Matinee.
In Barbados today, 4 tourists and a pilot are reported dead after their helicopter crashed in hilly terrain during a rainstorm. Barbados television quotes eyewitnesses who say the helicopter was sputtering just before it hit the ground and exploded after impact. Algeria is reportedly seeing the worst violence since a government crackdown began 3 weeks ago. Muslim fundamentalists say government troops shot dead 15 demonstrators in the mountain city of Batna over the past 2 days. State radio quoted a lower casualty toll of 8. The Islamic Salvation Front began challenging the new Algerian government after it canceled elections last month.
Police in Cairo have arrested an Israeli Arab and his daughter on charges of spying. Police say the two had important documents with them when they were arrested yesterday at their apartment. Officials say they believe the pair were collecting information on military and strategic sites and on prominent Egyptians. A Palestinian prisoner who had complained he was being tortured by Israeli guards has died in captivity. Shops in Arab East Jerusalem have shut down in protest, and the Red Cross has demanded Israel comply with international rules on the treatment of prisoners. Israeli officials have ordered an investigation. Mustafa Akawi was a 36-year-old cosmetics salesman. He was picked up last month in an Israeli security sweep aimed at rounding up radical Palestinians. His family says he was healthy when he was arrested, and his lawyer says that on Monday, just hours before his death, Akawi told a judge he was being beaten.
He stood before the judge and showed the judge that he has bruises all over his body. The judge wrote in his decision that he noticed the bruises under his skin, on his shoulder and hands and arms. He tends to believe the complaint that he was beaten during the interrogation, and therefore he orders him to be checked by a doctor. I don't believe that a doctor ever checked him.
Human rights groups have alleged that Israeli security guards routinely beat Palestinian prisoners to obtain confessions. Israeli officials say mistreatment of prisoners is rare. The Israelis and Palestinians may resume Middle East peace talks in Washington on February 24th, but the Palestinians reportedly have not made a final commitment to that date. Support for the Palestinian delegation is dwindling at home, where pressure from the Israeli military never ceases. CNN's Linda Scherzer with our report.
The marketplace in this West Bank city was the scene of panic buying Monday. After 2 days under curfew, the Israeli army let people leave their homes. Thousands stocked up on food, not quite sure how long they'd be allowed on the streets before they'd be confined to their homes again.
This is, makes our life, really zero.
Palestinians say they're worn out. They accuse the army of imposing some of the toughest collective punishment since the Persian Gulf War.
Because they are imposing curfews and they are detaining people, deporting and arresting every day and every night.
While the majority are committed to staying in the peace process, the Army's measures are turning some against it. Lately, newspaper articles have criticized the delegation's plan to go back to Washington while the people suffer at home. The curfews, the latest deportation orders, and the rise in Jewish settlement activity have, in the eyes of the Palestinians, served to undermine the credibility of the peace process. But their leaders claimed a small victory in Moscow. While refusing to take part in the multilateral talks, they say they succeeded in making their case, that the delegation would represent all Palestinians, not just those living in the West Bank and Gaza Strip.
Moscow was the place where the Palestinians said, enough is enough.
They claim to have commitments from every Arab delegation that participated in the Moscow talks that progress on matters like the environment and arms control can only be achieved once the Palestinians are included in every phase of talks on their terms.
None of the participating or sponsoring countries has any problem or any objection to meeting with, negotiating with, or having official contacts with the Palestinian people as a whole. And we do not see why Israeli conditions have to be imposed on the rest of the world.
They say, however, that Israeli conditions are being imposed in the occupied territories. While soldiers search for gunmen allegedly linked to the killing of Israeli settlers, residents in Ramallah have been under nightly curfew for the past 3 months. Arakat says he has trouble convincing people they should stay in the process, especially when asked.
What do you have in your hands? You're empty-handed.
The negotiating team plans to go back to Washington this month and say they hope to come back with something. Linda Scherzer, CNN, the West Bank.
And when we come back, the story of your life, and then some. A look at East Germany's secret files.
I hate to break it to you, John, but it's going to be a big one this time. I'll give you a minute. Tough break. His first major repair, and it comes just 2 months after his manufacturer's warranty ran out. Worst part is he could have avoided this bill by signing up for Geico's mechanical breakdown insurance back when he bought his new car, or any time before it hit 11,000 miles. I suppose people think all extended warranties are too expensive, but with Geico, you get longer coverage than many car dealers' extended warranties at savings of 30 to 50%. You can even choose between 2 coverage plans for the same low price. And you can still see your favorite mechanic. So take a word of friendly advice. Call Geico today.
For longer coverage at savings of 30 to 50%, it's mechanical breakdown insurance from Geico. Sign up within 11 months or 11,000 miles of purchasing your new car or light truck. Call now for free information.
What can I tell you, John? You should have had the coverage.
Across the world, phones are ringing. Who's calling?
Hello, Bob.
People who have the AT&T Reach Out World plan. They're saving an average of 20% on calls to friends and family in over 50 countries and areas. Even if you spend only $12 a month on international calls, you'll save on your calls to Mexico, Canada, across the Atlantic, or the Pacific. Dial 1-800-258-3231. Then go ahead and call, and the longer you talk, the more you'll save. The low $3 monthly fee gives you over 120 hours a week to save. You'll even get a state-to-state discount. Across America, people are signing up for the AT&T Reach Out World plan. Because with these savings and all the quality and service you expect from AT&T, it's our best value in international calling. Sign up now.
Imagine discovering that your neighbors, your relatives, even your closest friends have been spying on you for years. Well, that's the shocking discovery being made in what was once East Germany. And for the first time, people are getting a look at the secret files kept by the Stasi, the now defunct secret police there. Lindsay Taylor has the extraordinary story.
The clouds shrouding 40 years of communist oppression are slowly lifting. 2 years after the wall came down, some of the darkest secrets of East Germany's murky past are being revealed. The city of Erfurt, capital of the state of Thuringia in the former German Democratic Republic. It's home to 250,000 people. It's also home to millions of until now secret files on them and people throughout the region. Their lives were documented from this building, the regional headquarters of the Stasi, the East German secret police. This one of 15 such centres spread throughout the country. The Stasi officers have long gone from this complex, which includes a prison, but their work remains in the vaults below. In this fortified bunker, Gunther Richter, once a factory worker, now preserves the Stasi's chilling legacy for their victims to see and read. Much was destroyed in the dying days of the communist regime, but much too survives. In here, just one of several chambers, the lives of dissidents, intellectuals and others, indeed anyone who aroused the Stasi's interest, are documented along with those who informed upon them.
Die Überraschung oder das sehr Erschütternde für den Einzelnen ist, dass ja jetzt hier die Namen der Leute erfährt, die ihn beobachtet haben. Und das sind ja immer, fast in jedem Fall Menschen gewesen, denen sein Vertrauen geschenkt hat.
This is the inner sanctum, the card index for the millions of files. Each card a life under scrutiny.
Kacholt Gabriele, geboren am 14.04.
Gabriele Kachold, maiden name Stutzer, has no less than 4 cards, 4 separate investigations on file. Today, Gabriele, a writer, has come to find out what they wrote about her. Although tens of thousands have applied, the archive can only cope with one person a day. She's one of the first to be allowed inside. Gabriele was jailed for a year in 1977 after she started a petition to protest against the expulsion of a leading dissident. From then, her every move was observed and recorded. The purpose, one document reveals, to work up evidence against her. Her mail was intercepted. But what most shocked her was the list of those who informed on her. It includes several writer friends, even a lover.
This name, Blumi, I don't know. Karin, I don't know. But some people I know. Friends, lovers, from me as... Meine Blödheit, das kratzt mich an, ja. Meine Blödheit, ja, immer so optimistisch zu sein, ja. Das ist wirklich furchtbar, ja. Dass wir die uns so ausnutzen konnten, ja.
With incredible irony, Gabriele's Stasi files also accuse her of being paranoid. One day, she says, she'll confront those who betrayed her. For another couple tracing their past inside the Stasi archives, that moment's not far off. Files were begun on Eckhard Schäfer and his wife Gisela after he resigned from the Communist Party 11 years ago. He says he lost his job. The authorities even annulled his marriage before allowing him to leave the country. They too discovered informers' identities, but they never suspected a neighbour, codenamed Maria. They immediately drive the 50 miles to their old home in Donna to confront the woman, a former secretary to the mayor. A nervous exchange takes place. But the woman does eventually invite the Schäfers in. Our request for an interview was turned down.
Dann kam es eben aus ihr heraus, dass also sich schon länger mal mit uns in Verbindung setzen wollte und es einfach aus Angst nicht getan hat. Und aber all das ist jetzt für mich relativ unglaubwürdig.
Sie hat in der Entschuldigung solche fadenscheinigen Gründe gebracht, warum sie zu dieser Aufgabe gedrängt worden ist. Und das erscheint mir dann fragwürdig, ob die Entschuldigung ernst gemeint ist.
All across the former GDR, such incidents are repeated daily. Nowhere more than in Berlin, where the majority of files are kept at the former Stasi central headquarters. But as thousands of former East Germans apply to see their files held here and elsewhere, some observers question the wisdom of uncovering the past. They argue it will lead to an opening of new wounds and the creation of a legacy of bitterness and hatred. Revelations have already wrecked friendships and at least one marriage after a leading dissident discovered her husband had informed on her. Gunther Schachschneider was a Stasi officer in East Berlin for 12 years. He's now a cleaner. Trying to make amends for his own past, he's today meeting one of his victims, a doctor on whom he used to spy and tried unsuccessfully to recruit as an informer.
Ein Arzt hat sich sogar mit Decknamen offenbart. In welcher Form sind Sie an diese Leute rangekommen?
Mir kam dabei entgegen, dass ja Ihr Oberarzt dort ein für ihn sehr schwieriges persönliches Problem hatte. Das war eigentlich der Ansatzpunkt. Ich hatte ihn in dieser Klinik eigentlich gar nicht systematisch gesucht.
While Herr Schachschneider's happy to help Dr. Zippel put the record straight, he warns there are risks in victims reading their own files.
Die negative Seite ist eben, dass die Akten nicht die ganze Wahrheit sagen, dass auch in Akten oft gelogen wurde und dass sehr viele Missverständnisse entstehen können.
But the director of the Stasi archives says confronting the past is important to the healing process.
This is a medicine. You must know what happened, you must see the wound. Then you can go and can look for a medicine which can give you new health.
In Erfurt, though, opinions are divided.
Eine gute Sache ist es sicher nicht, also, weil das Inhalt in der Verwandtschaft und in der Familie also doch mächtig Staub abwirbelt.
Mann, auch nicht bestimmt eine gute Sache. Dass man sich beantragen kann. Ich möchte mal wissen, was alles über mich so angepackt haben. Und
auf der einen Seite denke ich doch eine gute Sache, damit die Leute, die ihre Neugier befriedigen wollen, dem nachkommen können. Auf der anderen Seite ist es ziemlich, also wird es unheimliche Konflikte geben.
The church, which often gave political shelter to dissidents in the past, believes only by opening the files can people restore faith and trust in each other.
Also wenn die Akten jetzt nicht einsichtig sind, glaube ich, dass es ein ständiges Misstrauen gibt. Sowohl zwischen dem einzelnen Bürger, gerade aus Ostdeutschland, und auch der Bundesregierung. Ich bin mir im Klaren, dass es Konflikte geben wird, Austausch, Härten geben wird. Aber ich bin der Meinung, das ist jetzt notwendig und da müssen wir jetzt durch.
In this room, the archivists are doing just that, meticulously piecing together the past. Tens of thousands of hastily ripped up documents, a giant jigsaw puzzle of Stasi activity. One bag takes more than a week. There are still another 130 to go. The guilty secrets shut away here will haunt people for years to come. The indelible mark left by the Stasi.
In another sign of attempts to deal with East Germany's communist past, a court convicted 2 former East German border guards of manslaughter today. The 2 shot down a defector trying to scramble over the Berlin Wall back in 1984. Both men received suspended sentences.
When we come back, a lost city and a space shuttle unlocking a secret of the ages. And Robert Maxwell's world. What's left?
Do you have a cold?
Yes, I do. It feels like the ocean is in my head.
Here's 2 cold medicines. This relieves these 3 symptoms, this 9. Choose one.
9. I have all of those symptoms. Sinus pain, nasal congestion, and I have a scratchy throat.
Here's what you chose. Are you shocked?
Yeah, I am.
Would you try Dristan Cold? How do you feel?
The Dristan really worked. I feel better.
Dristan, the face of relief today.
Are you gonna dance your whole life away? What about your future? Don't you worry about getting old.
He doesn't have to. He has a MetLife retirement plan. MetLife annuities earn tax-deferred interest and guarantee an income for life. What do you say to that?
Away?
Oh, brother.
Usually, when you send flowers out of town, you give the order to somebody who takes a cut. Then he passes the order to somebody else who takes a cut. But now there's Flowers Direct that actually lets you speak to a florist in the town where you're sending the flowers. Flowers Direct. Or we cut is the middleman. Call Flowers Direct now, 1-800-621-2121.
On CNN today, if Bill Clinton's popularity fades, is someone new waiting to jump in the race? On Inside Politics 92. Then on Showbiz Today, Richard Gere previews his new thriller, Final Analysis. All today on CNN.
Radar scans from the space shuttle. Archaeologists say they have located and partially excavated the lost city of Ubar in the Middle East. Researchers say they've uncovered the ruins of towers and walls and pottery that date back thousands of years. Ubar, known as the Atlantis of the Sands, was a major trading center for frankincense in what is now Oman on the Arabian coast. Scientists believe the city collapsed into a giant limestone cavern.
The receivers are still searching for the missing millions to pay creditors of the late media mogul Robert Maxwell. Even the contents of Maxwell's private London apartment go on the auction block next week. CNN's Richard Blystone previewed the Maxwell possessions.
This is the house that Max built. These are the files that might hold the key that might unravel the mystery that grew in the house that Max built.
Everything's gotta go.
Everything's gotta go. The chairs, the tables, and everything owned by the lion of publishing who lived in the penthouse that Max built. If a man's character is reflected in his household effects, the furnishings being prepared for auction at Sotheby's make a foggy window on the world of a tycoon who owed a lot more money than he had.
I suppose the word that leaps to mind is theatre. It very much had the feeling that this was a stage set on which a larger-than-life character was going to perform.
The trappings of Robert Maxwell's daily life were expensive, but not really precious.
The contents was not intended to overshadow the owner. It's quite clearly he was to playing the lead role and was going to want that attention. But I don't think he was really interested in works of art.
But not only Maxwell's art is up for sale to pay his creditors, the publisher's TV sets and bath towels, and 17 copies of his authorized biography, one of them well used.
And everything you buy, you get an after-dinner story with, because you're able to say, well, not only is the chair nice, but it also belonged to Robert Maxwell.
What desperate financial intrigues were hatched among these yellow silk pillows? Why did the man want 4 paper shredders in his private flat? Who gets the plugs painstakingly removed from every single electrical item? All part of an enigma for sale from the toppling house that Max built. Richard Blystone, CNN London.
Just ahead, we'll have the CNN World Report and a favorite smooch.
Some people don't know it, but they're paying too much in taxes. Take these two, identical in many ways. Similar homes, similar incomes, similar investments. But one could be paying 28% more tax on his savings and investment income. That's over $200 on every $800 earned. The other called Fidelity Investments toll-free and found out how to invest tax-free in this free fact kit on Fidelity tax-free funds. It shows you how to earn income that's 100% free from federal income taxes. And in some states, your income may be free from state and local taxes, too. And there's no sales charge, which means all your money is working for you. So call for your free fact kit on Fidelity Investments tax-free funds. Call right now and you'll also get this bonus booklet, Understanding Tax-Free Investing. See how Fidelity gives you the facts you need to make up your own mind without pressure.
Hello, Fidelity?
Keep more of what you earn. Call 1-800-328-4100 today. Fidelity Investments. Common sense, uncommon results.
International Hour continues, followed by Early Prime after this local commercial break. Next on CNN.
Fiddle tunes and traditional country songs are coming your way on Iowa Public Television's Old Time Country Music. Each week you'll hear some great music by the Bill Sky Family, Brian Bowers, Ralph Stanley and the Clinch Mountain Boys, and many other great pickers and singers. So y'all join us each week for old-time country music, only on Iowa Public Television.
Thursday nights at 7:30 and repeated Saturday nights at 11.
It was one of those freak accidents that just happened. But when I woke up at Iowa Methodist, they told me my back was broken and I was paralyzed from the waist down. At the Yonker Rehabilitation Center, they helped me learn and relearn everything so I could get out on my own. And today, I'm working at a major insurance company helping disabled people go back to work. The people at Yonker Rehab made all the difference to me. That, and the fact that we Gears never give up.
This is CNN.
And we'll check up on financial news for you with Jan Hopkins. She is at the New York Stock Exchange. Jan, hi.
Hi, Donna. Stocks are not far from where they began the day in the final half hour of trading here on Wall Street. The market has been zigzagging all day. Right now, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is down slightly, down 2 2/3 points from its record close yesterday. Now at a level of 3270.13. Volume today very heavy, 240 million shares trading so far. The Dow's been up as many as 9 points and down as many as 12 points during the day. Advancing issues are leading declining issues now by a 9 to 7 margin. On the broader and secondary markets, the 4 indexes are higher. The NASDAQ index of over-the-counter stocks further into record territory. The U.S. government will sell $36 billion worth of debt next week to raise money, but there will be fewer 30-year bonds and 10-year notes up for sale. That's because short-term rates are cheaper right now, but the Treasury says it doesn't expect to cut long-term issues again. Bond prices are higher because the borrowing is a little less than was expected. The 30-year issue up 5/32, and the yield stands at 7.73%. Despite recent criticism from Japan, American workers are becoming more productive. In the last few months of 1991, U.S. productivity grew at an annual rate of 1.1%. Analysts say companies have fewer employees, so most employees that are left are working harder. Meanwhile, 1/3 of Japanese workers say that they are working too hard. A Japanese survey found the average white-collar Japanese employee puts in 37 hours of overtime a month. Nearly 40% say they have too little private time. One Japanese executive that's working hard these days, the chairman of Nintendo. Today he sold 600,000 shares of his company for $47 million in order to raise cash to buy the Seattle Mariners baseball team. However, the Major League opposes non-American ownership. That's the latest in business news. I'm Jan Hopkins reporting live from the New York Stock Exchange.
Jan, thank you. What is the most memorable kiss on the silver screen? You are in the majority if you picked this one.
It's not that easy, Scarlett. You turned me out while you chased Ashley Wilkes, while you dreamed of Ashley Wilkes. There's one night you're not turning me out.
Rhett Butler and Scarlett O'Hara in Gone with the Wind staged the most memorable kiss on the silver screen. That's according to a Gallup poll. Second most memorable is the Burt Lancaster-Deborah Carr smooch in the surf in From Here to Eternity, followed by the Ingrid Bergman-Humphrey Bogart embrace in Casablanca. By the way, the most memorable screen kiss survey was paid for by lip balm manufacturer Blistex.
See, Donna, who says we only pay lip service to such important matters? Coming up on the International Hour, the story of a reporter who accompanied a boatload of refugees making the dash from Haiti to freedom.
They say diversify to reduce risk, but I'm no financial expert.
I know how to build a house, not a portfolio.
How do you judge each investment? When to buy or sell?
And who has time to follow the market?
Because most people can't be masters at everything, Fidelity Investments created the Fidelity Asset Manager. In one easy mutual fund, it seeks to diversify among and across stocks, bonds, and money markets. And Fidelity professionals carefully watch your investment for you, gradually adjusting your assets to keep pace with changes in the market.
It's designed for those of us who aren't financial experts.
Call now for this free fact kit on the Fidelity Asset Manager.
I called. You should too. There's no pressure to invest, There's no sales charge either. All your money works for you.
Diversification made simple. Call 1-800-356-8100 for your free fact kit. Fidelity Investments. Common sense, uncommon results. Share price, yield, and return will vary.
In Switzerland, Ricola has been soothing sore throats and relieving coughs naturally for over 60 years. Ricola is a blend of 10 organically grown alpine herbs and natural flavors, providing pleasant-tasting natural relief. Ricola, the natural choice for soothing sore throats and relieving coughs naturally. With controversial stories surrounding the Democratic leader, could a new candidate be waiting in the wings again, trying to rebuild a Cuomo campaign on Inside Politics 92, today at 4:30 p.m. Eastern on CNN.
Early Prime will be coming up at the top of the hour. Let's check in with Lou Waters and see what's coming up.
All right, Donna, for our viewers in the United States, a look at President Bush's attempt to heal the U.S. healthcare system and the impact of that plan on elderly Americans. The inventor of the so-called suicide machine has been arrested for what he calls an act of mercy and what a Michigan grand jury calls murder. More about that. And we'll meet Oscar-winning actor Joel Grey, who makes a habit of creating unforgettable characters, and he's done it again in the movie Kafka. Details on Early Prime at the top of the hour. Join us.
See you then, Lou. The process hit a snag today, but the U.S. State Department says the repatriation of Haitian refugees will continue tomorrow morning. Until then, 2 Coast Guard cutters carrying over 500 refugees will stay out of Haiti's territorial waters. Haiti says it wants to slow the pace at which the refugees are being returned. There are about 11,000 of them still waiting repatriation. Late last month, Life magazine correspondent Ed Barnes sailed with a group of Haitians fleeing their homeland. Barnes joined 119 people crammed aboard a 27-foot sailboat with no motor and sailed for 4 days before being picked up by a Coast Guard cutter. Ed Barnes spoke with CNN's Bobby Batista earlier today and reflected on his extraordinary voyage.
This was an amazing story. The village that I was in was called Petit Trou du Nep, and they had decided after the students and the children in the village had been for Aristide. After the coup, the army came and rampaged through the village. The village decided to save its next generation of children, the kids. So the village sold everything but their own beds to get the boat and put their kids on it. When I got on the boat, there was supposed to be 64 people going to Miami. But when the moment came to get on and the rendezvous in the swamps, word had gone out and close to 119 Haitians showed up. No one was refused.
So you would consider these people political refugees then?
There's no question. They wouldn't have left their village hadn't it been for the troubles. Their village is lovely. It's on the sea. It's got water. They didn't want to leave.
Let's move on to the trip itself then. What kind of adventures, and I use the term loosely, did you encounter at sea?
Well, everything, it was hastily arranged because the Army knew about, first of all, two reporters going on the trip and that the boat was leaving. And usually the last thing that happens before a boat leaves is the Army shakes it down and steals whatever's left. And then we lost our captain and our pilot to another boat that paid money. We forgot a lot of things. We had to wait outside. The new pilot we had didn't know the route. He was a coastal captain, and at night we started going in the wrong direction. It really was a hasty escape, but to these people there was no other choice.
Why did they head for the United States rather than perhaps another island nation in the area?
Well, no, the other island nations will have them, and they're not treated. Certainly, if you make Guantanamo in our village, if you eat three times a week, that was pretty good. Guantanamo, even if you're captured and held by the Americans, you eat. I went back to the village after a while, and there's no other choice. And Miami is heaven. There's work. There's other Haitians. There's a community where they can go for help. Guantanamo means you'll live, and being in Haiti or going to another Caribbean country where you're sent back or abused is just not an option.
Well, you were eventually intercepted by the U.S. Coast Guard. What happened then?
We were picked up on the second day. Coast Guard, there was a Navy overflight, or a Coast Guard overflight, I'm not sure who had the helicopter, and taken on board the Coast Guard cutter Dauntless. We're treated splendidly. The Coast Guardsmen are just wonderful. Here you'll see, we already know we're being picked up, and the Haitians all have an extra set of food. And the first thing that happens is you eat whatever food you have because you don't need it anymore, and it's finally the chance to eat. And then there's a bag of clothes that everyone has, and it's to look good when the Americans come. They're very proud people, and they want to work, and they have families and their responsibilities, and they want the Americans to know that they come to work and they're clean and they're willing to work. So it's important to them to look good.
How were you treated by the Coast Guard when you were picked up?
Oh, splendidly. I mean, the Coast Guard were great. They took care of the children. The Coast Guard treated us the same way they treated the Haitians. We slept on the decks and did the whole thing. But the Dauntless has a real fine crew.
What happened after you got to Guantanamo Bay?
I was thrown out of Cuba almost immediately. When I left, everybody was still on the cutter.
Were there international monitors overseeing their safety once they got to Guantanamo?
I took 3 steps on Guantanamo before the Navy had a C-130 to get me out of there. So I'm not sure. They were given food and they were waiting to be processed. And my understanding was they can only process about 500 a day. Now on my boat there was more than 500, and the day that we were picked up was one of the biggest days that they had ever been. There was well over 1,000 picked up by other cutters. So even it looked like just the people brought in our day were going to take 3 or 4 days just to get off the boats. And the camp, I mean, we could see the camp, and the camp is, I mean, it looks like Port-au-Prince. I mean, they built another basically Haitian slum. It's people mill around. There's no work. There's nothing to do. You look out and there's just acres and acres of green tarp with people milling about.
We understand the Coast Guard burned the boat that you all arrived on. Why did they do that?
Well, a couple of reasons. It's pretty unsanitary. People have been on it for a while. There's a lot of seasickness. We had rough seas in the morning, and people were pretty ill. You can't let it float around out there. It's an obstruction, and if you get back, it could be used again.
Have any of these people been sent back? Do you know? No,
as far as I know, I only came out of Haiti on Thursday, so my understanding is they're still being processed. So I think they're sort of at the bottom of the list for people that go back. And I would suspect that they, I mean, this was a political vote. I don't know how well the procedures work in Haiti or in Guantanamo for who's political and who's not. But clearly, this vote had if there's any sanity in the system at all, these people will be allowed to stay.
One last question, briefly. What do you think will happen to them when they're sent back?
The Army's going to get them. They believe it. I believe it. The Army came for us. I've heard all this stuff about we don't know of anything. But the villages where the Army is and the rural areas of Haiti, no one goes out and looks, and people disappear.
By the way, yesterday the Coast Guard cutter Matagorda rescued another 78 Haitians from a 40-foot sailboat near Haiti. They are being taken to Guantanamo Bay in Cuba for processing.
Up next on CNN World Report, the cost of Sudan's civil war. Thousands of Sudanese are paying a price.
Just like a racehorse, a working retriever really burns energy. And what life takes out of dogs like Kelley, not every dog food can efficiently replace. That's why I like this new Alpo Protein Plus. It's rich in protein to help build muscle with no artificial colors or flavors. Dogs like Kelley always give us their best. It's up to us to give it back. Alpo, generations of healthy, happy pets.
You'll find so much in Texas, it's like visiting a whole other country. When you call 1-800-8888-TEX, you'll get this free 264-page Texas travel book. Come on. For instance, you can stretch out on over 600 miles of clean, sunny Texas beaches. And if you live to shop, are you in for a treat? Call 1-800-8888-TEX, or just ask them. You can even ride the range on a real Texas nude ranch. Oh. Go! Texas is a food lover's paradise. Barbecued ribs, sizzling fajitas, our very own Tex-Mex. Remember, call 1-800-8888-TEX for your free travel book. Hello! Thanks. Boy, these folks are so darn friendly. Oh, Texas, it's like a whole other country.
Kids, Del Monte Pasta Classics are just a way to hide vegetables in perfectly good noodles and sauce, like we wouldn't notice.
New Del Monte Pasta Classics. So easy and delicious, some people are nervous.
There's constipation and there's constipation. yeah.
When it's this bad, take it to the max. New Maximum Relief Formula X-Lax pills with 50% more X-Lax medicine for maximum relief.
Oh, yeah.
Take it to the max.
Welcome to CNN World Report, where we bring you news as reported from the perspective of broadcasters around the globe. The Sudanese government has implemented dramatic economic reforms. The country is bankrupt from natural disasters and an 8-year civil war. The military government has been forced to raise prices on basic necessities such as gasoline, sugar, and bread. And as we see in this report from Germany's ZDF, the conditions for many in Sudan are already appallingly desperate. We must caution you that this report contains graphic footage of the current situation in Sudan.
They appeared suddenly without warning. Nobody was leading them. More than 5,000 Sudanese children alone. They are desperately looking for a peaceful place in the world where they can find security and food. Many of those who survived the horror of the civil war in Sudan are severely handicapped. They have lost arms or legs because of exploding landmines. Many are very sick, like 14-year-old Simon. The doctor has given up on him. Simon is too weak. He died only days after we filmed him. This is the only way to get to the Uyuk tribe, 2 kilometers upstream by boat. 50,000 people ended up here on the shore of the Sobat River. Peter, the chief.
When we come in the road, some people can kill us in the road, but some people died.
The Uyuk used to be one of the biggest tribes in this area. Today, the mothers have to watch their newborn babies die because there is not enough food for them. In the Sudanese capital Khartoum, an Islamic regime is in power. The Uyuks here in the south are Christians. When looking in one of the huts, we found a father reading the Bible to his family. This is the so-called hospital of Nazir. Somebody has put thin blankets on the bare floor. That's the place where the patients die. Most of the patients could be saved, says Dr. Kwan.
We see patients dying, and because we don't have enough drugs, we don't have enough infrastructure, we don't have enough instruments, and then we see the patient die when we could actually help them.
A torchlight shows the way to the Russian pilot who drops food from his Ilyushin plane. The American relief organization World Food Program has chartered the aircraft. This is the only way to supply food to Nazir twice a week. When the sacks rain from heaven, the women quickly prepare the meal. But for some, especially kids, it's already too late.
In a day, we find 2 up to 7 sometimes. Those who have died with diarrhea, pneumonia, and malaria.
While the women are busy cooking, we find the men outside the village in a so-called cemetery. They are digging the grave for a girl who died last night. She was only 6 months old. This is Horst Werner from ZDF for CNN World Report.
Political analysts say South American leaders may reevaluate economic austerity measures in the wake of the failed coup in Venezuela yesterday. But experts don't see any challenge to the government in Bolivia, which has managed to turn things around. More from Bolivia's Canal 11 PHC.
Bolivia faces 1992 with hope. The latest government report about our economy reflects positive achievements in the last year. Gross national product grew 4.1%, more than expected, and it's the biggest jump in the last 14 years. The confidence in economic stability was reached after deep changes in the administration that promoted private and public inversion of $797 million, which in 1990 was only of 596. But this situation is not casual. A decade ago, Bolivia faced the most dramatic economic crisis ever in the country. Those were the times of hyperinflation, when American dollars were almost a treasure, and when the inflation rate reached 8,200% in 1985 alone. It was also a time of great social instability, with rallies and strikes that provoked the change of the government. When Víctor Paz Estensoro became president in 1985, there was no possibility to save the country. Paz Extensoro administration launched a new economic policy based on liberalism, which is followed by the current administration. Even though it had a high social cost, after 5 years it's beginning to show its benefits. Last year's inflation was only of 14.5%. The changes in the social field becomes obvious when, despite the achievements of the new policy, the unions call for rallies and strikes. Where there was massive response in the past, now only a few followed their call, a response that showed the people's confidence. Monica Machicao, PAT, Channel 11, Bolivia, for the CNN World Report.
When CNN World Report returns, we'll talk with a visiting Indian journalist on the numerous changes taking place in India since the assassination of Rajiv Gandhi.
There's lots of ways to have garlic. The Kwai difference is the consistency of garlic qualities of this easy-to-swallow tablet. There's no better way to have garlic than odor-free Kwai.
I've heard a lot about garlic. Kwai is odor-free and so easy to swallow.
Kwai is available at quality drugstores, health and natural food stores, and general nutrition centers.
It's the best, and it's odor-free.
Kwai, science and nature working for you.
Some say a 1930s fashion inspired Lincoln Town Car. Perhaps it was simply the spirit of the times. We only know that today, Town Car is the most spacious, most quiet automobile you can own. Lincoln Town Car. What a luxury car should be.
Flu epidemic declared. Entire U.S. affected. Fever, congestion, body aches. What will you do? Get serious medicine. Doctors recommend Theraflu. Theraflu is hot liquid medicine. Strong therapy for flu symptoms. Hot liquid therapy that works fast. What will you do when you get the flu? Doctors recommend Theraflu. Strong therapy for flu symptoms.
In the months since the May 1991 assassination of Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi, India has been going through a re-evaluation of its domestic and international policies. The country has seen its long-standing trading partner virtually disappear overnight with the dissolution of the Soviet Union. And internally, economic and political realities have prompted change. Joining us now in our New York bureau to talk about these changes is Rajiv Kumar of India's Doordarshan television. Mr. Kumar, welcome to you.
Thank you.
You've been covering the visit of India's Prime Minister to the United Nations. Can you tell us what changes the Prime Minister would like to see in the United Nations?
Well, the Prime Minister made a point in the United Nations that the United Nations needs reforms. When the world body had started way back 50 years ago, it had only 5 permanent members, and gradually we had another 10 non-permanent members. Now, over the years, the General Assembly has, the membership has gone up to more than 150 members. And if you put that logic together, the Security Council needs a greater representation. And this is what the Indian Prime Minister said, that in years to come, India would like to see that the peacekeeping initiative of the United Nations is represented widely.
Punjab elections are scheduled for February 19th, and Sikh separatists have threatened violence and voter boycotts. If that happens, how legitimate will the results of the election be?
The elections are scheduled for the 19th. The government has taken all measures to see that the law and order is maintained. And true enough that a few political parties have decided to boycott. But I don't think that that would make a drastic, it won't affect the elections, because the other parties, the ruling party and the opposition, they are very keen that there should be an elected government in Punjab. There has not been a government for the last 57 months, and an elected government would certainly pave the way for a greater peace and progress in the state. I'm sure that measures taken by the government, the army standing by, I'm sure that there would not be the violence that you are projecting, but it would be a good turnout. We expect between 40 to 80% turnout for the elections.
How do you think the government, though, can help achieve that greater peace? You talk about paving the road for the greater peace, but how can the government control the violence?
You see, the government is very sure that this violence has been instigated by the neighboring country, and they have very good reason to believe that. And with an elected government in the state, everything goes on to the elected representatives, how to work out that peace initiative. And I think that the absence of this elected government has sort of negated the peace, the path to progress and peace. And once people feel that they have got their representatives, it's not the people who are opposing the elections. It's a group of militants who have the arms supported by Pakistan, and they are creating the problem. And you can't hold the whole people of Punjab to ransom for that.
India is having to rethink its international policy and economics. What does India need to do, and where are they headed?
We've announced a number of measures, liberal policies regarding import and export. We have a good investment climate in the country. People are already wanting to invest in India, and in fact 30 proposals are already through with the government. And now you can have a greater equity in the country, and this certainly pays for more companies all over the world to come and invest in the country and reap benefits.
It's been almost a year since the assassination of Rajiv Gandhi. How have politics changed in that almost 1 year's time?
The policies are very much same what Rajiv stood for, and I think the present Prime Minister is only extended the process of progress. Only thing is that because of this liberalization, we expect that the economy would get a boost. Internally also, there is greater democracy within the ruling party. We've just had elections at the grassroots level, and things are much better and brighter.
Rajiv Kumar, journalist with Doordarshan Indian Television, we thank you very much. And that is all for the CNN World Report and the International Hour as well. You'll want to join us tomorrow. We will have coverage of the 40th anniversary of Queen Elizabeth's coronation. For Frank Sesno in Washington, I'm Donna Kelley in Atlanta. And now with a look at what's ahead on Early Prime, here's Lou Waters. Lou.
All right, Donna, coming up next, the man known as Dr. Death is charged with murder again. A deadly fire puts the Mike Tyson trial on hold. And the NBA's Superman presses his luck on the court, and he ends up on the bench. Join Sharyl, Attkisson, and me for Early Prime. Next, here on CNN.
Coming up, Early Prime, followed by Inside Politics 92, after a word from your local cable systems here on CNN.
When you want to watch the news, you turn to CNN. But did you know we're much more?
Like coverage of world financial markets.
Fashion from Paris to New York.
All the sports. Scores and highlights. Both sides of the issues. The world's weather. Talk that will thrill you.
Tantalizing cuisine. The pros and the cons.
Advice you can count on. Showbiz from Hollywood to Broadway.
CNN. We're the news you need and much more.
For everyone who's fed up with the political process, CNN is proud to present a continuing series called Democracy in America. We'll explain what candidates say on the campaign trail, analyze their advertising claims, look into their backgrounds, qualifications, and character, and talk with real people about election issues they want to see addressed. Democracy in America, a different kind of coverage you'll see only on CNN. You may not recognize their faces or know all their names, but they have decades of experience covering politics, the White House, and Capitol Hill. They've worked for the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, the Washington Post, every major publication and network. They're the best at what they do. CNN introduces the most distinguished team ever assembled to follow the 1992 elections. From start to finish, you'll get the whole picture of Campaign USA 92 only on CNN.
Headline News, I'm Chuck Roberts.
Baltic leaders are already working to set up a new economic...
News from our Hollywood Bureau.
Come on, Headline News, Lockheed.
Headline Sports ahead and the preview highlights from the NCAA basketball tournament.
Lithuania's defense minister reportedly has been...
We'll check market.
Any time of the day or night, when you need the latest news, business, and sports, turn to CNN Headline News. Updated every 30 minutes around the clock. CNN Headline News. Anytime, all the time.
This is CNN.
The doctor who says he just wants to help people who want to end their lives is indicted on murder charges.
A run across the border. Illegal migrants entering the United States try a new and dangerous tactic.
Scientists uncover a long-lost city with some help from a space shuttle. This is Early Prime. I'm Sharyl Attkisson.
I'm Lou Waters. Hello. Also ahead, a basketball flash. Air Jordan is grounded.
And actor Joel Grey talks about his latest role in a new film called Kafka.
First, our top story. Suicide machine inventor Dr. Jack Kevorkian has been indicted on 2 counts of murder. He was arrested in Michigan this morning. He was arraigned this afternoon. His lawyers say he'll be released on bond before the day is out. Kevorkian is charged in the deaths of 2 women who were found last October hooked up to suicide devices that Kevorkian designed. After the deaths, Kevorkian released a videotape showing him explaining the devices to the 2 women.
You're going to have to do this together. You're going to have to do this together. One arm will be tied down. I have an arm board that's comfortable and it's got padded. And we'll tie the arm down so you don't jerk it or move it with a needle in your arm. And then we bring needles. It will be put here. Well, wherever we get good. How are your veins, bud? My veins. I know Sherry's got excellent veins. Mine are terrible here. They pulled me 4 or 5 times. Right here. Okay, that's where it'll be. That's why we want your arm to be tied down. You just pull the ring. You pull a string. A string. And that opens a valve. Okay. First of all, you reach up and turn off the salt solution. With Sherry's hand attached here, you turn off the salt.
So we're not going to be doing just pushing the button?
No, because there's no electricity. Oh. So you just turn off the salt solution by turning the little wheel. It's easy.
You'll be telling us.
I'll tell you all this. And then you reach into this ring, you and Sherry, you pull the ring. Okay. And you hold the arm out like that with Sherry. Okay. You hold the arm out, straight out, up, right? Okay. And that ring will, you cut the saline off, that ring turns on the hypnotic, the sedative solution, which will put you to sleep within 20 seconds, 25 seconds, as soon as it gets into your veins. And then when you're sleepy, your arm will drop, and you open a third valve.
Kevorkian was charged with murder in 1990 after helping another woman kill herself. That charge was dropped. If convicted on the new charges, he could face a mandatory life sentence.
Haiti's government now says it will allow 2 U.S. Coast Guard cutters to enter its territorial waters tomorrow. The boats are carrying 508 Haitian boat people that the U.S. wants to return home. But Haiti's government has said it needed more time to prepare for the refugees. The boat people are among some 15,000 Haitians who have tried to sail to the U.S. since last year's coup. Illegal immigrants have discovered an effective and frightening new way of entering the U.S., and it's creating chaos on Interstate 5 at San Ysidro, California. Mexicans are rushing the border in groups, then dashing out into oncoming traffic. Border Patrol agents can't stop them because they're not allowed to make arrests along the highway for fear of causing accidents. But beginning tomorrow, 2 lanes of I-5 will be closed to slow traffic down, so some 30 agents stationed north of the border can make arrests.
The United Nations Security Council decided to continue its economic sanctions against Iraq today. The UN had offered to let Iraq sell some oil to raise money for food and medicine, but UN officials say Iraq has violated its Gulf War ceasefire agreement by refusing to cooperate with weapons inspectors. The world body is said to be preparing to issue a very firm statement to Saddam Hussein's government. In Barbados today, a helicopter crashed in hilly terrain, killing 4 tourists and the pilot. Barbados authorities say the tourists, American and Canadian, were from a nearby cruise ship and were on the helicopter for a scenic tour of the island. Authorities say those killed were 2 men, a woman, and a 12-year-old girl.
The Mike Tyson rape trial remains on hold following a deadly fire. Jurors were not able to get to their clothes after the hotel where they were staying caught fire last night. 3 people, none of them jurors, died in the fire. Some of the jurors were shaken up a bit. Officials say the fire does not appear suspicious. The jurors' clothes have been sent out for cleaning, It's not clear if the trial will resume tomorrow. A New York jury today held a former deputy warden liable in the deadliest prison revolt in U.S. history, but it deadlocked over liability of 3 other New York State employees. It began in 1971 in an inmate uprising at Attica Prison. Police shot and killed 29 inmates and 10 hostages to end the takeover. Prisoners who say they were beaten and tortured later filed a $2.8 billion lawsuit against officials who led the assault. Another trial is set to determine how much the state owes in damages.
The Florida Supreme Court has cleared the way for a new trial of former Miami police officer William Lozano. An appeals court overturned Lozano's earlier conviction on 2 counts of manslaughter, saying he did not get a fair trial. Lozano allegedly shot and killed an unarmed black motorcyclist in Miami's Overtown section. That was back in 1989. A passenger on the motorcycle also was killed. Those killings touched off 3 days of rioting. A new trial for Lozano is scheduled for July. The lost city of Yubar, once the wealthy center of the frankincense trade, has been found in Oman. The Middle Eastern city disappeared nearly 5,000 years ago when the limestone caverns it was built upon collapsed. According to the Islamic holy book, the Quran, Yubar was so wicked, God allowed it to be swallowed by the desert. Radar scans emanating from the space shuttle helped archaeologists locate the ancient city.
In order to survey this vast desert, you need some way to do it efficiently. If you were trying to look for this place by ground surveys, you could spend several lifetimes looking. These sorts of images allow you to survey a large area very quickly, and many of these old tracks show up very well on these, as you can see. So that actually provides us with sort of a bullseye look here, and of course that narrows the search a great deal for the archaeologists.
Yubar was located in a barren area of Oman known as the Empty Quarter.
Still to come on Early Prime, President Bush says he knows how to cure the nation's ailing health care system, but some people are not convinced.
Seniors and the disabled are going to have a tough time finding a doctor or a hospital who's willing to treat them.
How will the neediest people fare under the president's plan?
And in Jim Huber's sports, the NBA comes up with something that actually might keep Michael Jordan from scoring.
And actor Joel Grey teams up with Jeremy Irons and nearly steals the show.
CNN's Early Prime, news and information for people in the prime of life.
You, my friend, can use some fun. Big fun. Las Vegas, Atlantic City, cruise ships. But you got to take this along, the Players Club card. It's going to save you a lot of money. 25 to 50% off fabulous resort hotels, 25%